All right, well, welcome to another Consults Over Coffee. I'm Dr. Michael Jones, and I am here with Debbie Dust, who is currently the general manager at Redefine RVA, right?
Yes, indeed.
And obviously an incredibly well-credentialed and experienced athlete, coach, trainer, you name it. And we're here today because we're in an era of incredible misinformation and disinformation. And now that people are getting vaccinated and things are hopefully opening back up, folks are going back to the gym.
Yes, indeed.
And they're trying to shed all that COVID weight.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Yes, they are.
Like now.
They're coming back to the office and they have to put real clothes on again.
Just buy new ones.
Exactly.
And there are, as you know, I mean, as far as there's a right way and a wrong way to do stuff, and there's a lot of folklore and myth and misinformation out there.
Yeah.
And I think we were talking the other day about, I think one of the big ones is women in strength training, that they're all going to look like Russian bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's the deal with that?
Well, I think in a general sense, any human being can and will benefit from strength training. And, that doesn't necessarily mean, I think in the perfect world, doing some sort of like free weight training is probably the most ideal. You get the most bang for your buck. That's not to say that there isn't merit for doing resistance training, whether that's with bands or tubes or even, God forbid, 1 pound dumbbells. Obviously the results that you're going to get from those different modalities be a little bit different, but I just can't overestimate the benefit, the good of including strength training 2 or 3 times a week into whatever fitness, health, maintenance routine you have, kind of, if you're doing cardio and yoga or various things. Like certainly strength training should be a component in regardless anybody's routine, but especially for women.
But what about the myth that like suddenly women are gonna wind up looking like Andre the Giant or Arnold Schwarzenegger? Right.
Obviously strength training is going to help you improve your lean body mass. It's difficult for women to put on a lot of muscle mass. I think somebody who's really focused and dedicated doing strength training maybe 3 and 4 times a week, you might, depending on how you diet, put on 1 pound of lean mass a month. You might be able to. You can burn a lot more fat in a month than you can put on muscle in a month. So I mean, in no way, shape, or form are you going to pack on 20 pounds worth of muscle with your 5 pound dumbbells, doing a couple little exercises a few times a week. Like, sustained over a period of time, progressively overloaded strength training with maybe a little bit of anabolic enhancement is going to help you put on way too much muscle. But I think generally just building lean mass coupled with, clean diet, I think, there's that whole sort of the word toning, which just makes my head hurt. But essentially you have muscles underneath everything, right? It's a matter of like kind of, reducing your body fat in order to, in changing composition of your body in order to have either a more muscled appearance or, generally let's talk about strength. Strength is the ability to exert force on mass over, time. So,
Is toning just a euphemism for I got rid of the fat that was overlying my muscles?
Yeah. Toning is and it's
because toning is a very popular term.
It's a buzzword, and women just flock to it because they want to have this quote unquote this look, this toned, muscular, lean look. When it's strength training is going to get you there, but the right kind of strength training, just to be clear, not 1 pound dumbbells. Coupled with intelligent, dietary choices and proper intensity cardio, not doing the quote unquote the fat burning intensity. You don't want to be on the treadmill for an hour at 2.0. Like, no. so the euphemistic toning, the goal of the feminine physique to be toned and not too bulky. Yeah, that's 1 pound dumbbells in the treadmill.
Do women build muscle mass like men?
They do not. It is it is impossible, like genetically impossible. The
Okay.
hormone environment in a woman's body does not encourage muscle mass building the way it does for a man.
So women, just even if they do heavier weights, aren't going to bulk up like men.
They are not. And there are data out there, and I cannot cite any of the studies right now as I sit here.
Right.
But there are data out there that bear that out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, in the world of medicine, that's pretty much a fact.
Yes. But in the world of fitness and wellness, it's highly unregulated and dominated by influencers who throw around buzzwords like toning.
Well, how about this buzzword? How about spot reduction?
There's another one.
I love spot
yeah,
reduction.
you know, there is no such thing as spot reduction. I mean, you can spot reduce surgically, but when your body loses weight, say I've got, you know, this, I love this, love handles, or, you know, my fluff, my tummy fluff or whatever. It's like,
Easy there.
your body, one of the best analogies that I've come across lately for how your body loses weight and how you sense and feel how you lose weight is kind of like a roll of paper towels, where you put the new roll of paper towels there and you use them, like you start a new diet, you start a new exercise routine, a new program or something like that. And, you know, you using the towels, you're going to the gym, you're doing your, you're eating right, whatever else. And then, you know, maybe a month or two later, you're like, oh, you know, the paper towels are almost gone. And you're like, oh, I can feel a difference. Oh, my pants fit better. You know, it doesn't happen like all at once. It happens over time. And the day-to-day is so close that you don't really notice it. And then, you know, a month or two later, you're like, oh, wow, I feel better in my body. My clothes feel better. You know, I feel better. I have more energy just generally. And so spot reduction, the only way you're going to spot reduce your fluff or your love handles is surgical. Not cool sculpting. That's not surgery. And that's the thing. Like, some bodies tend to hold on to weight in certain areas, probably genetically predisposed. You know, some people carry their excess weight in their abdomen. I happen to carry mine below my waist. Which is probably better for my health generally.
Men and women generally carry their weight there, or it shouldn't be carry my weight. Store fat in different
Let's
places.
just cut to the chase.
Let's
Yeah,
just call
you know?
it what it is.
So
I mean,
in the myth of spot reduction, like, sure, you can do all of the abduction, adduction that you want for your saddlebags, and you're gonna definitely develop, you know, the strength and you know, the muscles of abduction and adduction, but you're not burning fat doing that.
Yeah.
Or guys that get on the rotary torso machine and put the pin on 200 pounds and think that they're like working off their love handles.
Herniated disc.
Like, you know, that's not going to do it. Like, abs and that, I mean, that starts in the kitchen. The gym is the adjunct to it, but underneath all of it, it all starts in the kitchen. It really does.
Put the fork down.
Exactly.
Step away from the table. The most important movement you'll perform.
Yeah,
Put
well,
the
and know what your
fork down and
triggers
walk
are.
backwards.
Yeah, I mean, know what your triggers are. There's all these, buy these supplements and these
my
fat-burning
God,
teas
I
and
know.
these metabolic enhancers and whatever else. And it's like, do not waste your money on these things. They're not going to help you.
Kind of BS.
Yeah, and, you know, here's my supplement that I get royalties from, so use my code. And yeah, no, you guys.
Yeah, well, I like the idea. I mean, the concept of spot reduction is kind of a myth. But I think you're right. I mean, men and women do tend to store fat differently, right? I mean, men tend to carry stuff more around their trunk, centripetal obesity. Women more so probably like hips, buttocks, thighs. And that's, which is just physiologic fact.
And then after 50, like, it's all right here.
I can't figure that whether that's loss of mass or just loss of connective tissue, or I don't know, gravity, just aging process.
Exactly.
Yeah, it happens to my neck as well.
And thank you for bringing up the aging process, because as we age, I mean, I think it's more and more important, because we do lose. I don't know the percentage off of the top of my head, but every decade after 30 or 40, you lose a significant amount of strength if you don't, you know, put in any effort to maintain it or improve it. And you know, if you stop, you're going to lose it faster than you would when you were younger. So, You know, it doesn't
Definitely.
have to be 90 minutes, 2 hours in the gym. You can put together an easy routine that you can even do at home if you have small equipment at home that takes 30 or 45 minutes a couple times a week. And that's, you know, that's kind of a good entry point. It's going to help you move forward at a rate that makes sense and that you're not going to end up injured from. And you're not going to end up hating it. There's nothing worse than like, I got to do this. And I don't want to do this. And then you stop doing it.
That's interesting because I had a conversation with Brian Harris not too long ago, who you know Brian really well. Brian's an incredible athlete and an incredible coach and trainer. And one of the things we were talking about is that it really is sort of this kind of just slow and steady, and you train your body, but you also and rest is kind of a big part of
It really is.
of that whole process.
Yeah.
But also like resting your head. There's nothing worse than you're never going to have a good workout if you're resenting your workout.
No.
You know, and if you're frankly that hateful about it, you probably need a day off or do
Yeah.
something different. Mix up your routine.
And that's not to say that there isn't merit to having some kind of structure
Right.
to what you're doing, because you should be. But then I think sometimes too, and you guys might have talked about this with power meters and things like that, measuring devices, all of the trackers and the logging and the apps and all that stuff that you can just get really tied up in measuring your performance, telling you how many calories you're burned. You're like, that's not real. It's not.
Yeah.
Just because your watch says you burned X amount of calories, that's not real. You're not hooked up to a metabolic cart. It is not.
It's a
It's-
best guess,
Yeah.
if that.
Well, and I think wearables they're good. You know, tracking devices and stuff, they're good, but they have to be used in the context of this is not exact science. They do a good job of tracking time. You know, and intensity to some degree. And there are some out there that help you with your sleep and your recovery and that kind of thing. But they are not the be-all, end-all. You cannot allow yourself to be ruled by apps and devices. And, you know, I mean, that just, again, it just makes you resent it.
Yeah, I mean, I think those are useful tools, and they're probably more useful for people who've been doing it a longer time or have a specific goal and who may be farther along in the process. Like if you're training for an event, that kind of stuff may be helpful. But I think for the vast majority of people, and I'm going to put myself in there, the idea that you have to measure everything is kind of nuts.
It is.
And-
Like, who are you doing this for?
Right.
You know,
And we
ultimately.
all do. We like to see our progress, but but you can also it can become a false idol.
It can be,
Right,
and we've talked about this before, and you know, ultimately, you can throw all these quantifiable variables into your performance and whatever else, but at the end of the day, all the body knows is time and intensity.
And effort.
It knows how
Yeah.
long and how hard, and it doesn't know time in the sense of minutes and hours. It just knows whether it's a long time or not a long
Yeah.
time or a middle length of time, and it only knows if you're going ham or if you're kind of, or if you're rusty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It does not know these quantifiable factors. And so many of those things are interdependent and independent that, you know, having somebody, if you are a performing athlete or somebody like that, I mean, yeah, you need to be able to interpret that stuff or work with somebody who can interpret that stuff. But I think on the lower end to entry,
And
you know, it does kind of it helps people build routines too. You know, with
Yeah.
alarms and things like that.
Yeah.
An educational tool, like, oh, geez, you know, like you're over on your calories. What? It's only 10 a.m.
Exactly.
So there are definitely some
the
helpful
famous
things there.
blueberry muffin.
Right, the 500,
The 500 calorie
It's a
blueberry.
piece of breakfast cake.
This can't really be 500
My
calories.
breakfast cake.
Oh yes, it
Oh,
can.
yes, it is, and it's got 25 grams of fat in it. And it's not even 10 a.m. yet.
You're done eating for until after dinner.
Which brings me to the idea of this intermittent fasting. So basically, you skip breakfast and don't eat till noon. And that's not to say that people don't do well with that kind of structure with their eating. You know, and diets generally, like, oh, keto this and like Whole30 this or whatever. It's like, okay, that's fine. If it's going to get you where you need to be, which is basically a calorie deficit if you want to
Yeah.
improve your body composition or lose body fat. If that's what's going to get you there, great. But realize all of those things are kind of finite. You can't be in ketosis forever and ever. It's a tool, and a lot of people will go from diet to diet, and sure, I'm keto, but they're also, eating potato chips, or something. So if you're going to do it, like, follow it and be successful. But there's nothing worse than somebody who, like, surfs various diets and ways to, like, shorten the window of time that they ingest food during the day, where, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you're not in calorie deficit. If you only eat between 12 and 2, but you still eat 2,500 calories, you're probably not going to lose weight.
And I used to see a lot of that with folks who would, young, hard charging on the go, don't eat all day, and then sit down and throw like 4,000 calories in themselves in 30 minutes at 6 p.m.
I don't know.
And wonder why. Hurts. And my stomach, doctor, my stomach hurts and I feel really full. You think?
Well, and that's when, if you have those kind of issues, it's probably...
And the fact is your body can't use all that at one time. So guess what? Off to the adipose cells. Let's make some fat. You're better off physiologically eating frequent small meals, staying within your caloric goals or caloric boundaries.
Well, and dividing it up in a way that makes sense for you.
Yeah.
If you're somebody who has, a physical activity labor kind of job, like, how to space that out in a way that makes sense, that doesn't give you GI distress, but still meets your nutritional needs, and kind of moves the needle in the direction that you want to go, know. So yeah, let's see. What are some influencers? Like, where do you get your information? The internet is wonderful and not wonderful, and there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation out there that come from people who are photoshopped, who are surgically altered, post videos of themselves working out and post their workouts up out there, who don't have a lick of education or experience really as a professional in the fitness and wellness industry, who have 1 million followers, and you're like, woo, they've got a pretty slick Instagram and I like those videos. I think I'm going to go do a bunch of burpees and jumping jacks and, run myself into the ground, and I understand why I feel terrible for 3 days. It's on you, I guess, as someone who's a consumer of social media, of internet, content, to do your homework, or work with somebody or inquire, somebody who's knowledgeable, like, hey, what do you think about this? Is this going to, and think to yourself too, like, is this kind of stuff going to serve me? Should someone who's in their 50s be doing burpees? No. I mean, it's a dumb exercise, but there's merit to being able to go from a standing position to lying on your on your belly face down to be able to get back up to a standing position. But do you have to do it at speed and, like, trash your wrists and slam your chin off the ground to do it?
We were talking about this recently. I was amazed that, like, there actually is survival predictability based on gait speed and how quickly you can get up off the floor
without using your hands.
Yeah. So there is merit to, I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, and
you don't want to be that person. Yeah, and grip strength.
And grip strength also, yeah.
Which is, but like, again, it's just a lot of that though can be achieved for most of us just through an active lifestyle, right? I mean, and you can define your activity. I mean, strength, you're right. I think especially as people get older, strength training becomes key, because losing lean body mass.
That's a critical thing.
Well, and it correlates, loss of lean body mass correlates poorly with time on planet.
Deconditioned is not
deconditioned is not good. But I also think, again, folks, there's a tendency for all of us just to kind of get enthusiastic about stuff and want, I need my little pedometer, or I need my power meter on my bike, or I need this app or this tracker or that tracker. And it's like, I guess if it's a tool that helps you get where you got to go,
yeah, because
it's good. If it becomes the end point in and of itself, it's dangerous.
Well, and you said the word tool. I mean, ultimately,
he said tool. You said tool.
Ultimately, we're animals that behave in certain ways,
Badly.
certain patterns, often badly, and often for reasons we don't quite understand. And so, if you're going to use those types of tools, trackers and apps and things like that, like make sure that they serve you, that they don't, stress you out or, pull away your joy or your ability of being in the moment and moving and breathing and experiencing what you're doing as fully as you can, as opposed to just, I got to go out and do intervals today because that's what my program says.
And I think for most people, and I will include most amateur athletes, because the Cat 4 guys out crashing themselves on a weekly basis, who are out there with their structured program, who are so busy doing their quote unquote interval that they can't say hello to you as you pass them.
Bad behavior.
Yeah, exercise. The other part of it is that there's value in exercise in terms of quality of life and stress reduction, and so if I got to go out and do my intervals today, and I got to hit my wattage, and I've got to hit my times, and that's fine. But you know what? Some days you got it, and some days you don't. And frankly, I hate to break it to you, but the older you get, the more days you don't got it, and the more days you need to rest. And I'm not sure I'm completely reformed in this regard, but the fact is that nobody got stronger, nobody got fitter without resting adequately after an effort.
Agree. Yeah.
Because the whole point is, especially with strength training, you're actually damaging muscle fibers, right? And those muscle fibers need time to heal, which is how you get stronger, right?
Yeah, well, and I always loved, and we used to talk about this, which was probably horrible, but, we'd see the same people come into the gym and literally do the same workout every day for years. And they look the same. Nothing ever changes. And for people, like, if that's what they want to do and they're cool with that and that's serving them, that's cool. But if they want to change something, you don't change unless you change. Yeah. And so getting people outside of their comfort zone, teaching them something new that, is empowering, like strength training, especially for women, is empowering. Like, I know that if I needed to, I could pick you up off the floor. That's why I strength train. That is why. Like, have a purpose for it too. I mean, obviously,
I thought that was just because I'd lost weight. I was thin and fit now. Or
no,
not.
I mean,
not.
But there's a sensibility to doing it. Obviously, we want to look nice. We want to look good. We want to feel healthy. We feel good in our skin. But there's the whole functional component to strength too that goes far beyond what you look like. The aesthetic. It's not about the aesthetic. It's about the functionality of strength. So especially for women who don't want to barbell, I don't want to deadlift, I don't want to squat. Like, squat is the universal best exercise for everybody to do. I don't want to bench press, I'll get too bulky. Like, no, you need to be able to push things. You need to be able to press things.
Yeah.
You need to be able to pick them up. You need to be able to carry things. You need to be able to rotate. And I, in terms of like the way that I work with people and kind of the foundation of programming that I do for myself and I don't formally have programming, but every time I do a workout, I always include like fundamental elements of movement and load them in various ways in order to get sort of the strength gains that I'm looking for. And I'm always changing those things up. So again, a squat, a push, a pull, a hinge, some sort of rotation, a carry, basic fundamental movements with varying types of load. I mean, those you have show muscles and you have go muscles. Work on your go muscles first, and then worry about your show muscles.
That's good. Show muscles and go muscles.
Well, and core strength and balance too, especially as we age. Having core strength and body awareness and being able to balance, like the best thing in the world. If you can't balance on one foot, and you're not really good about brushing your teeth for 3 minutes, brush your teeth on one foot, and then switch feet.
I do that actually.
And then if that becomes too easy for you, start closing one eye.
Or brush your teeth more often.
You do that too.
Dental hygiene. Poor dental hygiene is linked to many diseases, including coronary artery disease.
Yeah.
So brush your teeth and stand on one foot.
And I always love too, I work with clients who, they'd be like, can we just do everything we're going to do on the floor first? So I only have to get on the floor once and get up once. It's like, No, there's a reason
Yeah.
why we put you down on the floor and then make you get back up off the floor. Again, I've fallen and I can't get up. What is more, functional than being able to get down on the ground and get back up?
Yeah.
And having the body control and the awareness to be able to do it. When you get out of the chair, you're like, oh, oh.
Yeah.
That's not like a really great movement pattern there.
But it's also, I think it's also, again, having a variety of things to do so that things don't become mundane.
Well, and life's not linear either. So when you're talking about strength training and movement, like you move in 3D. Life exists in 3D. So just doing this and this and this all day, like, again, not really go muscle in there.
You're not getting the whole thing.
No, and so kind of coming from a foundation of movement and thinking about how you move first and different ways that you can load that, be it with bands or tubes or weights or suspension trainers or whatever, and enlist the services of a professional. Bottom line, if you're not sure, and the Instagram videos just aren't probably the best place for you to start, or find the right people on the internet, the right professional on the internet is going to show you how to do things the right way, or hire a professional. I'm all for that.
Right. No, and I think the old saying about you get what you pay for is true, and the internet is free, therefore the quality of most of that information is comparable to the cost.
Well, and I think
if anything that we have learned in the last 4 years, YouTube ain't the place to educate yourself.
No, and I know in talking with people who are entertaining ideas of working with a professional for exercise purposes, they push back on the expense, and it's not cheap. There's definitely a value proposition there that we need to present. But remember that personal trainers a lot of them are really good professionals, very experienced with great credentials, and the value proposition is they are worth what you pay. And I know for me, overcoming an objection one time from somebody who had this fantastic pink ombre hair, I said, well, who does your hair? Like, would you just let anybody do that to your hair? And she's like, well, God, no. I'm like, do you do your own taxes? She's like, no. I'm like, so you pay an expert to do the things that you're not an expert in. And she's like, well, yeah. And I'm like,
here we are.
Hey. And so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an investment. Bottom line is it's an investment in your health.
And so if people are looking to get started or to kind of move their program forward or to get good information about how do I make this work, so like, how do they get a hold of Redefine RVA?
We are search engine optimized. So if you enter into the Google personal training Richmond, Virginia, we're going to be at the top of the list. There are a lot of different options out there. There's a lot of virtual training now, the way that the industry has shifted because of the pandemic. But, for the most part, people are comfortable in space again. And yeah, like, ask the right questions and figure out what's going to serve you and whether or not, where you go, if it's us or elsewhere, that there's community there for you, that you are treated as a client and not as a customer. And that your needs as a human being are being served, and that the approach is going to, be something that's going to keep you uninjured, to help you set goals, keep you on track, give you structure and accountability, and ultimately make you feel better, and feel better in your body and improve your health and wellness.
Well, great. There's another 30 minutes. It goes by so fast.
It does.
So that's another Consults Over Coffee. I'm Dr. Michael Jones. This is Debbie Dust from Redefine RVA. If you guys are serious about getting that COVID weight off and getting back in shape,
and into your clothes,
and fitting back into your clothes, up buying an entirely new wardrobe, give her a call. She knows what she's talking about. And we'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.